So just remembering that our budget constraint is like our PPF options, let's take a look at our options a little more closely. Do you remember that the quantity demanded was a function of the price of the good, income, tastes, price of complements, price of substitutes, etc. All right? So we know there's lots of things that are going to affect our decision making. So the question is, we are going to have to work through the decision making between consumer tastes and consumer options, right? And we're working right now with consumer options. Your budget constraint is your options, right? So let's take a closer look at this. We know that your income is one of the things that affects your purchases, right? So here I am, right? I've got an equation that says the budget constraint is price of good X times quantity of good X plus price of good Y times quantity of good Y, and this must be equal to, less than equal to, income. Let's say your income went up from 1,000 to 1,500. Right? So your income goes up, nothing else goes up. Remember how we treat ceteris paribus, one at a time. So if your income goes up from 500 to 1,500, then what it means is the best you can do, if you put all your income in rice, is 750, but then you have no transport. Or you can put all your income in transport and the best you can do is 375, but then you have no rice. And there you go. So the first thing you want to realize is that an income increase means a parallel shift in the budget constraint. So this is like what you've seen before. You've done all these PPF problems for me, where you had growth, where you had ability to do more goods because of productivity, right? From the individual perspective, an increase in income is like that. From an individual perspective, you can buy more, you can access more. So the first thing to remember is income effects. Income effects will show up because your total capacity to buy things has gone up, right? You can just buy more of everything. Parallel shift outward. So one thing we know is that if income goes up and nothing else changes, your budget constraint will shift out because you can buy more things. So we're going to go back to our original budget constraint. A reminder that I showed you that when income increased, the budget constraint shifted out parallel outward shift of the budget constraint, right? Let's say instead of thinking about a change in income, we thought about a change in the price. So right now, the price of transport is $4. What if the price of transport decreased to $2 Because, for example, I'm a member of the University of Washington and UW has decided to subsidize us when we use public transport. Right? So you use your UW pass, you get cheaper transport, fell to $2. What that means is while the price of rice is still $2, so that the maximum rice I can get is 500, right? The price of transport fell to $2. So where I used to only get $250 max, I can now get $500 max. This is my new budget constraint in green. Right? So can you see that the effect of price decreases is kind of like the effect of income increases or growth? And it makes sense, right? If something becomes cheaper, you can buy more of it. So the opportunity cost idea and the budget constraint idea is to alert you to what you already learned when you learned about the PPF, the Production Possibilities Frontier. That was for the whole economy, and you needed changes in the whole economy to get shifts. This is for one individual, just for you, your story, not the whole economy story. It's a straight line, because that's the way it works. You're a price taker. As I've mentioned before, when I go to Rite Aid or when I go to Costco, I don't go and bargain with them, how much should I pay for rice? When I take the bus, I don't fight with the bus driver, how much should I pay for the transport, right? I just take the price. So I'm a price taker. I take the price. I got my income, straight line budget constraint. So a very specific set of assumptions about my relation to the market. This is not going to work in auction markets. It's not going to work on eBay. It's not going to work in input markets where I am the only person who's buying workers' time, right? Lots of assumption, but ordinary everyday goods, this works. Interestingly enough, everything I learned about the PPF is useful. Income increases, this shifts. Price changes, if price decreases, there are changes in the curve and some goods become more accessible and so on. One of the things that we will ask you to pay attention to, and you'll do a class problem on this, is that what happens if my income doubles and my prices double? My income doubles, budget constraint goes out. My prices double, my budget constraint goes in. My total change is zero. So this is the idea of what is sometimes called the real wage. That you have to pay attention to whether or not prices and income change at the same rate. And you know this. You pay attention to your cost of living. You know, your income might go up, but if rents go up faster, you're worse off. Right? If prices go up faster, you're worse off. So you intuit this idea that what really matters is what you can purchase inside the budget constraint. Don't just fixate on prices. Don't just fixate on income. Pay attention to what you can actually access. And you've already had that idea before with the Production Possibilities Frontier. You're just applying that idea to individuals. Now you also already know how to calculate opportunity costs in terms of one good versus another, and you also know how to think about changes to this curve in relation to income, prices of different goods. So we're going to stop here. This is our budget constraint, which is our options. We have to think about how we will choose among these options. And that was something we had mentioned earlier, right? That we don't know if, for example, a particular community will choose oil versus environment, guns versus butter, right? So we're going to pay attention now to the other side of the equation, which is out of my options, how do I decide what I buy? And that's the theory of the consumer and utility.